Dr. Adya Sharma, we'll bring you in. You heard all your fellow leaders of business schools say what they're doing. There are, of course, some similarity. But tell us, what will be the kind of differentiator that you are planning that will set your school apart? Because everyone is doing the things that you're talking of. So Dr. Adya Sharma first, and the same question to all the directors and leaders.
So maybe let me take this opportunity to tell what we have done and then go on to what we will do, and very crisply.
Perfect.
So the interdisciplinary or the multidisciplinary approach that we are talking about, we implemented it way back in the year 2011-12. Popularly, it is called the cafeteria approach in our institute. And what does it mean? We give the freedom to the students to make their own bouquet of subjects. So they can actually pick up the subjects and decide that what is it that I want to study this semester and what is it that I want to study the next semester. Yes, we are there to guide them. And it's a nightmare making a timetable, but then at the end of the day, it is very important that the student should study what he or she wants, and this we've been doing for a long time. Last year, we did something very interesting. At that point of time, obviously, we had no idea about COVID, and we call it COIL, or Collaborative Online International Learning. So internationalization is a big way in our institute at Symbiosis Center for Management Studies. And there is a lot of exchange which happens, whether at the student level or at the faculty level or the development of the curriculum. But the question that used to trouble us was that in my country, there's so much people who can travel, and somewhere internationalization was always associated with travel. What about the people who are in India? And as somebody has said, the world has become a global village. It was important for us to connect with all the villagers. And that's where we had COIL, Collaborative Online International Learning, which is that our students and students of a university in US, they not only attended classes together using technology, they also worked on projects together. Today, this has become so important. Today, when travel is restricted and may be restricted for some time, and maybe when it is open, I think technology, as somebody said, will be a big enabler to get together people, to work together, people from two different cultures, to study together. And not just study together, to work on projects together. And that is where they understand that what it is to work with people of different cultures, because that's what we have to groom the business students for, to work with people of different cultures on different platforms. There are huge challenges. We are grooming students for jobs, which we don't even know today that will exist tomorrow. And therefore, investment in faculty, I think, is extremely important, because they have to groom these students of tomorrow. And for that, they need to be really updated. I think capacity building at the faculty level is something which has been taken up very seriously. So when this COVID hit, we were online right from 1st June, doing not only our classes, but even our student activities. So first they were performing in auditorium, now they perform on Facebook and Instagram. And getting faculty ready for all the technology was extremely important for us, because we have to understand that while the children belong to an era where they were born with a finger on the mouse, many faculty still belong to an era where mouse means a trap, and therefore they needed help. Having said that, what will be the differentiator in the future for our institute? I think it will be our ability to adopt the changes and implement them happily, be it through collaborative online international learning, be it through technology for blended learning, because I strongly feel that that will not go away. It may reduce most probably, but I think it will be a blend. That personal touch will be important.
Yeah, I don't think we can, in the near term, see a school that is no campus. It will be a blended learning, or a hybrid model, whatever, because life skills you learn on the campus. When you talk to your professor for an hour and have a cup of tea. I remember at MDI in 94, we had Professor Sridhar Raghavan, and we go to his home and sit and eat dosa, talk to him. all the friendship I made on the campus
Yes.
today in some way are my collaborative relationships at work. So on and so forth. I mean, I grew up in Gurgaon, but I used to live in the hostel. So living up in hostel has another dimension to it, which so I totally agree with you. I'm sure we'd like to hear what other schools are doing. Dr. Somani, you had Dr. Adya Sharma saying what she said. How will you differentiate your school?
So let me say this. I'm not talking of the COVID era. I'll talk of the post-COVID era. So like everybody else, we have also gone into online education. Now the advantages, and we are trying to take its advantage to the fullest. One is that we have started roping in faculty from the US. We have started roping in curricula of the best B schools, which it was always available in the public domain. But then earlier the faculty was limited to the geographic domain of our B school. Now we are leveraging this online education to the fullest in terms of getting the best faculty from globally. We already have 2 faculties from US who are delivering lectures to our students, one from Chennai, one from Bombay. The other advantage that we are doing is that we are monitoring the learning outcomes very, very well. We are using the polling facility to get the student feedback on faculty. Wherever we find that the faculty performance is not so good, we have a group of experts who view the lectures, see where the faculty concerned is going wrong, and then we take corrective action that is required. There are certain disadvantages in online learning, like the eye contact, body heat, and the inability of the educator to comprehend whether the student is actually understanding. But that is being made up by the other activities. I'm also not talking of technology problems in terms of internet non-availability, etc., because this is something which is very temporary and it's going to go away very, very soon. You also talked of what is actually the B school product of future or should be. And here I would like to say something like this, and I've already talked of the onboarding things which the B schools should do. In addition, the B school graduate who now passes out has to be necessarily tech savvy, both in terms of disruptive and non-disruptive technology interruption. He should be able to understand the possibilities of the new generation inputs of AI, machine learning, augmented reality, virtual reality, and he should be adaptive to change, because that is going to be the differentiating factor for the B school graduate. As it is with so much of automation and robotics into manufacturing which is going to come in, the pressure on management at high levels is going to be much more in terms of all these qualities that I just mentioned. SP Jain is talking in terms of virtual reality being brought into the classroom. That is definitely something which we see happening in times to come, and many more things. As it is, we are using a whole lot of digital enablers in terms of online libraries, repository of cases, calendar of events, learning management systems. All these things have to be integrated and converged into a single platform, because convergence is the name of the game. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really agree. In my business, I keep saying that there is a convergence of Silicon Valley, which is about technology, of Madison Avenue, which is about advertising, in Hollywood, which is entertainment content. So today we are in education also, we are at the intersection of all these three. Mr. Jain, your comments on how you mentioned how you're differentiating your school, but everybody is trying to do the same. So how does it make your school special, and where do you think your school will be in 3 to 5 years from now? Mr. Jain, you will have to unmute yourself. Dr. R.K. Jain, you will have to unmute yourself.
Sorry. Thanks, Anurag, for asking this question. In fact, we are a youngest school, ranked among the top schools in the country. We started only in 2014, and we are happy that we are already, seen as among the prominent colleagues of ours who are there for a couple of decades. What we have done differently and what we are looking at doing differently going forward is we started at least 3 years ago. Now, COVID has expedited the whole process, but we have started our journey of differentiating in terms of curriculum. We use this formula of 40-40-20, where we said 40% of the credit should be devoted to understanding the business, the nuances of business, because business management need this understanding in depth. Then 40% we have reserved for the specialization, where as my colleague Adi also mentioned, and another gentleman mentioned about the choice-based, specialization. So you pick up which areas you want to have a combination and develop the depth of your knowledge, and also learn by application and all. Now, our partnership with industry has been our strongest point, where we not only started faculty externship for a 6 weeks paid externship, which is a new phenomenon, a new model that we experimented very successfully. We have started working on the on-field sponsored projects by the corporate. Third aspect is in terms of program delivery. I said we have started very early in using the blended learning, where we included in class, on campus, and on field, all three in a very with a judicious combination. Then another aspect which we used, which is kind of given as a differentiating this thing, is our next 20% of credits, where we said we got subjects like psychology, we got subjects like business history, we got subjects like, which we call them as value adds. So we deliver, apart from your business administration knowledge or business understanding and functional area strengthening, we bring in these additional modules which give them a broader understanding. Or also now NEP talks about integrating that as a part of curriculum. We actually started doing it 3 years ago, and it is very well, this 40-40-20 is very much part of our curricular structure today. We have also started, we have developed a framework which we call it as GSTEE, where governance, sustainability, technology, ethics, and entrepreneurship. All these 5 aspects, in every specialization, these aspects have to be incorporated. That means if you are learning marketing, or if you are specializing in marketing, the governance aspects, the sustainability aspects, the technology aspects, ethics, and entrepreneurship aspect, all these aspects have to be integrated as a part of the specialization. Now that gave us a fantastic edge, because when we go to corporate and when we invite them here for placements and all, what we promise them is something called 0-day billing candidates. You also mentioned in your comment, this L&D business has to actually, in fact, one of our
call it EDP, MDP.
Right.
A lot of business schools in MDI, we call it executive development programs and management development programs.
Right.
So at the end of the day, B schools also have to cater to the industry and not just graduate students.
Now, our efforts of actually pulling this whole L&D effort on our campus is another differentiator that gave us the edge in our corporate engagement. And corporate engagement in a 360-degree view, we have developed a fantastic model where we engage across the board, not just for guest lectures and stuff like that, but we actually go and work with them. Now we have started another a new initiative called Masterclass, where more than 40.
While this is good that you are doing, can I tell you, everybody is doing this. I want to tell you that I talked to B school professors. It's a very important community for us. Our B school rankings are also coming. They were scheduled to come out in September, but we pushed it to last week of September, first week of October, because the whole calendar has got pushed, not from our side, but from an admission side. Just to mention that, some of the things you're saying are absolutely right. You must do them because they will prepare your school to be, but everybody is doing. Let me bring in Mr. Jain from SP Jain Global. Building this proprietary technology and using it for learning. And you said you've done this before, and there is a question whether it is commercial or not on the Q&A chat. I would like to know, what else are you doing to differentiate your school? Because it is going to be even more competitive. And dare I say, for people like Dr. Biplav Biswal, today, the disadvantage of being in a remote location will no longer be a disadvantage. He can get any faculty from Harvard or from the US, a practitioner, or from any part of the country. So really, for a lot of schools who had a locational disadvantage, I think that locational disadvantage at least will be leveled up a little bit. So, Mr. Jain, are you here? Or I shall bring in Dr.
Yes.
Joseph? Mr. Jain, yes.
Yeah, no. I'm here. Can't you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Nitesh,
Okay.
we can hear you.
Yeah. So, Anurag, as I said, we have this very cutting-edge technology that actually mimics a classroom virtually. Now, the second part of this is, to answer your question, what else are you doing? We asked ourselves a question in my management team: do you really need 4 walls to deliver education? And we challenged them to come out with a new model that does not need 4 walls. And we came out with this new concept called borderless. So we have developed now something called a borderless classroom. It doesn't matter whether you're in a remote place or whether you're in Mumbai or anywhere, you can have a borderless classroom. So we have actually collaborated with universities across many countries around the world actually, and their students and SP Jain Global students share the same classroom. Obviously, it's a virtual classroom, but you will have projects to Adya's earlier point, or you can do a case study. You work in breakout rooms with people from different countries. And this has completely changed what the learning experience, because you no longer have just students all 100% from India. You have students from different countries. And this is now possible. It is now possible even in a world without travel. So I think when you think of this whole concept of a borderless campus, you can really build a lot of features into it. The students are from different countries. Your guest speakers are from different countries. The out-of-class activities are done globally with global trainers, global moderators, and there's so many interesting things. So I feel that this whole notion of a borderless campus is something that we're doing uniquely. I have not seen other, universities, even in Western countries, actually focus on this. But for us, it's a focus activity, and it's not even so futuristic because it's already on. It's already something we're doing.
Thank you so much.
Because we've already got the industry partners and so on. Thanks, Anurag.
I understand that you embarked on it before COVID, and even when COVID goes away or we find a vaccine, when we, as Dr. Biswal rightly said, by choice we'll adopt some things that will help us build the B School of Future. Dr. Joseph, your comments, you heard. How are you differentiating your school? Tomorrow, if SP Jain decides to launch a real estate course, or Dr. R.K. Jain decides to launch a real estate course, how will you compete with them? Because they're established. I mean, RICS is RICS. I know the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors in London, but both the schools are very preeminent and other schools represent. How will you tomorrow, if I start a course on real estate at MDI, given my background in 2 industries, real estate and media, how will you keep pace? I'm asking you a real question. Professor Dr. Joseph.
All right. Thank you. So first thing I need to tell you, when you said RICS is RICS, that establishes the brand name. That's the first part. But I must tell you one part on our curriculum. We completely revamped the curriculum in 2018, and this was completely now the proposition that you are seeing in NEP 2020. So we were actually 2 years, before we designed all those things. So the typical side of our curriculum is that the students has a flexibility to choose the specialization what they require after the first semester. So if you look at that kind of flexibility, that means after the first semester of having spent that time, they can realize what is their talent and what is the competency that they have and the skills that they need to look at by measuring their own capacity and looking at the industry vibration. So if that is the flexibility, that means you are developing all the competency and the skills, measuring what is actually the student wants to do. Okay, so that's one of the concepts which has come up in the NEP 2020. The second part is that we have completely changed the assessment. So though we are affiliated to Amity University, but we have our own independency in framing our academic curriculum and the assessment part. So we have taken the internal assessment bigger weightage, and we have already brought in this kind of online assessments, and also the research-based assessments. And if you look at the teaching and learning models, you can see that we also have the flipped classroom, and whatever Jane said, that the borderless classrooms. The third point which I would like to say is that we also have a campus in Mumbai. So we had already had this cross-teaching across the campus through online, even before the COVID or the lockdown. But now we are into the full of using this is the whole strength of that, and now we are able to deliver cross-campus. And the next point is that the industry experts' time is so precious that to get them on campus and all that, but now it gives us a very good flexibility to connect with them and then give a course to our own students. Now we are much ahead of our thinking. When we come to the post-COVID stage. So we are already working on, how these things can be effectively done. And one of the examples which I said that, which we have gone for our summer internship as a desktop research, and the results have been produced. So
thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting into a stage where I'll take closing comments, very quick closing comments from all of you. But before I do that, Dr. Biswal, again, there is a commonality in thought across all, leaders, directors on what should be done. Everyone is talking of blended learning. Everyone is talking of increased industry interaction. Everyone is talking of new courses, keeping in the changing business environment. Everyone is talking of emphasis on technology. So, of course, those are the right things to do. But how do you differentiate? How do you set your school apart?
Well, first of all, we are a B school who are never in a race, and we will never be in a race, because 30 years down the line we still operate with 120 seats. So we have our strengths and we play around it only. Point number one. Point number two, maybe market think that my position or my location is a disadvantage, but if you ask me as a teacher, I think it's an advantage because it protects me from getting tracks. I get students. So only serious students come to us. Being promoted by Kirloskars directly, industry interaction had never been an issue with us, and it will never be an issue with us. Now what we are trying to shift gear is, our strength is manufacturing, specifically engineering manufacturing, and being the only partner of Toyota in Southeast Asia, we have got some strength from there also. So we may gradually shift from the generic management course to a production and operation management oriented kind of a course. And personally, I focus on one thing, that is the human quotient, what I think. If you look at today's students, there is Android quotient, which is very high. I say them, they're more than half robots. Their mobile phones control them more than their brain. And because they have the information at the fingertip, they don't read. And that is leading to a very precarious kind of a situation. And they are less humans, more robots. So if you ask me, I will focus on creating human managers than robotics managers. Because whatever you say, robotics cannot take over human, because had that been...
Never. Though it is predicted that singularity will happen, but I don't think, ultimately they say, you can use technology to manufacture a gun and to manufacture a medicine, but when to use the gun and when to use the medicine, only a human.
Exactly.
So I'll
exactly. Like the closing comment, what I was saying, that we have already sent robots and capable of sending robots to Mars and Moon, but still we want to send humans because robot will have a sequential reaction. But the presence of mind, the immediate decision-making skills, that will only come with humans. So we would focus on the human quotient building rather than anything else. That's what we have thought of. Time will decide.
Thank you so much.
What we have decided right or wrong.
Thank you so much. Dr. Somani wants to make a quick point, and then like a Twitter-like closing comment from all of us.
Very quickly, you asked for a differentiator. Our differentiator always has been our IM faculty who brings in their huge corporate experience into the institute's classroom. And of course, we know that if we do not embrace technology, we would be left by the wayside like the Kodak or the Nikons or the Nikon, whichever way you pronounce it.
Thank you so much.
One last point I have to make. We've talked about the institute faculty, but nobody has talked of the student. We keep taking these surveys from the students because ultimately they are the people who are being taught. And 75% of them say they want face-to-face classes, prefer it over the online classes. And
I'm
then
not surprised.
so when they come to the campus, I think whatever blended that we have to do, it has to be very slow, very gradual. I don't think in the initial phase it can be 30% online, remote, and 70% physical. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Thank you so much. Final closing comment in less than 10 seconds. One Twitter-like tweetable comment. I'll start with you, Dr. Biswal. One comment, quick.
Technology is there to stay. We have to learn how to use technology for better learning and better industry collaboration.
Okay, Professor Dr. Joseph.
From my side.
We have already established the technology, and we will be differentiating by ourselves with the industry interaction with the first cooperation of the technology.
Dr. R.K. Jain.
Bringing design thinking approach to management education,
I love that.
differentiating it by being effective in implementation.
Thank you so much. Mr. Nitish Jain. Nitish, can you hear us?
I'm going to talk, Anurag, about what's not going to change is our razor sharp approach on getting jobs for our students. So students join a business school for jobs, and that's not going to change. COVID, no COVID, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. So I can assure all our students and everyone that is going to remain.
Okay, Dr. Tripathi, if you're here, your closing comments. Dr. Tripathi.
Yeah, I'm here. Change is going to be there, and there are going to be managers and leaders, but there is a bigger necessity of human leaders and human managers, and you must focus as big schools. We must focus on creating them. That is the need of the day.
So I just want to say that at MDI in '94 we used to have this course called Personal Growth Lab, which was about going within, seeing how Dr. Poonam Sehgal used to teach it. So I fully agree with you. I think when we are locked in and the mental issues, I think we need to teach students how to be leaders in a way that they can go in. Sustainability, how to look after the environment. Anyway, Dr. Adya Sharma, your final comment.
My final comment would be that, yes, there would always be some commonalities across all these schools. The differentiator would be the implementation, the ability to change fast. And finally, I think the differentiator would be the trust between the student and the institute, because if you can respect it, appreciate it, and maintain it, that will take you a long way.
Thank you. Final word from Dr. Anil Somani.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anurag Batra. A very meaningful discussion. And like Dr. Adya Sharma said, that the trust between the student and the faculty and the institute is the most important factor for growth of a business. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just to sum it up, there are questions, there are comments. There's Professor Devjani Banerjee from the VES Business School in Mumbai making a comment that a blended pedagogy would help. I agree. Just to sum up, what the leaders on the panel have said is one, that it will be a hybrid or a blended model. The on-campus experience is what students yearn for. So we'll have to strike a healthy balance between usage of technology and campus experience when COVID goes away and when there is a vaccine, when we can make a choice. Right now we have a compulsion. Third, technology will need to be used in every facet of education, and all of us will need to get better using technology. Fourth, placement will continue to play a bigger role. So schools that can bring new curricula and create new managers for the new skills, the new companies that come up will matter. Fifth is the B school professor himself or herself will have to retool himself or herself to be able to talk to a camera and do it in a way that it creates a good experience for him or her and also for the student. And last but not the least, that there will be change in the B school curricula. For example, Dr. R.K. Jain talked about design thinking. We don't teach design thinking in school. We don't teach sustainability in school. So you will see a shake-up in B school curricula. Thank you for talking to BW Education. We've enjoyed, and we will take this conversation in the BW Education magazine, BW Education website, in the Business World website, which is doing 30 million traffic the last 6 months. And we brought out every single issue of BW and of BW Education. And now the standstills have also picked up. So we'll continue to talk to you and be your bridge for the industry. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Anurag. It was a great session.
Thanks, Anurag.
Very much.
Thanks, Anurag.
Very kind. Thank you.
Enjoyed being on the panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.